it's not about giving the answers. It's what we have to do, and I'm talking about AR, it challenges us to ask the right questions.
Mm-hmm.
That means that when a technology comes, I still don't know all the possibilities and all the applications, and I think that's what happened with AR.
Mm-hmm.
The technology is outstanding,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not asking the right questions. Right?
This is the whole metaverse thing, and why AR kind of got a bit of a bad rap is because metaverse didn't really come to fruition. Of we're all going to have this alternate virtual reality that we live in, and it's like maybe the question isn't how do we make the metaverse happen. It's how do we use this technology in very specific business use cases that drive the most important outcomes in our business.
All right, here we are back again. Myself with my exotic accent. Getting worse by the day. Should get better by the day. But I'm very excited today. We continue to talk about new technologies. We had Red Iron Labs talking about virtual reality and AR, and then I have today the honor to have here a company called SimplAR. I'm going to talk about them soon. Talking about all of that, but in the marketing world. That's that. I love it. It's a little bit of my word. So my name is Buarque, and besides being a fantastic podcast host, by the way, this is not my copy. I'm also the Chief Marketing Officer and the Senior Director of Operations at Launchcode. So welcome to Launchcast. I have been a gamer for my entire life. I think I started playing when I was 9 years old and still play nowadays, as some of you know. And a heavy consumer of consumer tech. I just got the Meta Quest 3. I was actually talking to both of you about that just right now. Augmented and virtual reality, it keeps mesmerizing me, right? So going by the numbers, the AR software market in Canada, let me get it right. It's expected to hit $371 million by 2028. And that's Canada, right? Mm-hmm. Those are Canada numbers. That's insane. It is a growing market and one that has especially found favor in a growing tech ecosystem like Calgary. And Alisha was just mentioning right now that Forbes, was that Forbes?
Forbes, yeah.
Forbes just put a list on the top marketing trends for 2024. And of course, AI is the first one, as we love it. But AR is actually the second one. So for sure, something that we're going to talk about. So talking of Calgary, of course, our guests today, they do run a fantastic company. They're based in the city. I'm really excited to chat with them about all things AR. So welcome to the new episode of Launchcast. Join me today are Joel Olandesca and Alisha Olandesca. Do you see with the Portuguese accent, Olandesca?
I can hear it in
Olandesca.
there, yeah.
You can see that? Only I can offer that to you. They are the co-founders of a Calgary-based startup. So cool to have them here called SimplAR. Welcome, Joel and Alisha.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure, absolutely. So before we go any further, I would love for you both to introduce yourselves to the audience. So let's start with you, Joel.
Sure. My name is Joel Olandesca, CEO and co-founder of SimplAR. And we create web-based augmented reality activations for the event and marketing industries.
Awesome. Well, a growing market, for sure. Right?
Huge growing
especially
market,
after pandemic.
Yeah.
No one wants to be in a Zoom call anymore.
Nope. Nope.
I love it. What about you, Alisha?
I'm Alisha Olandesca, co-founder and CFO of SimplAR, and we are not brother and sister. We're also married. Same last name.
Let's clarify that from the get-go.
I love that. That's the perfect combination for a lot of people. You guys share life
Yes.
and business together.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
And what is interesting, the folks at Red Iron Labs,
Same thing.
They do the same, right?
There you go.
Really?
They're both married, so it's pretty cool.
That's great.
Okay, so let's start with the basic question, right? So let's help our audience to understand what SimplAR actually is, and if you can share a little bit of your history, because I know it was born in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So SimplAR was actually born out of our other company that is 10 years old. SOS charging solutions. So SOS charging solutions, what we do with that business is we provide mobile device charging at events globally.
Got it.
Rinse, repeat type of business where we help event producers, planners, just help people stay charged up and connected while they're at their events with tabletop charging stations that are branded. Branded being the key because that's where SimplAR came from. So SimplAR was born from SOS because probably like 5-6 years ago, we were sitting in our office and looking at our charging stations, and we offer 2 types of branding on them. We offer digital and vinyl print, printed wrap. So we'll take brands and logos and basically custom brand each of these charging stations for an event. So they get brought in for sponsorship, for advertising, for messaging, whatever it may be at these events. Well, we were looking at ways to elevate that experience in terms of the branding for our clients. So we say, okay, what's next? Our clients were coming to us saying, we love what you guys are doing. What's next? And we said, well, we're looking at augmented reality. And it's a technology that I've been following since our kids were born, which would have been like
15
years ago. Right?
Oh, wow.
So I've been following augmented reality for quite a while.
Yeah.
And it has definitely progressed in terms of how accessible it is, the technology that gets used, how it gets deployed, where it's used, everything, right? It's just grown over time. So it's been around for quite a while. We started looking at it, but we kept running into a lot of hurdles in terms of deploying it on our end.
Okay.
Mainly being the technology itself was very limited in terms of how you could use it.
And cost to develop
and
it.
cost, a lot of hurdles.
Sure.
Cost,
Yeah.
how to do it. The knowledge in terms of everybody just wasn't there yet.
Yeah, of course.
You would talk about augmented reality and you would just get a stare at them. People would just what are you talking about? I have no idea.
And marketing adoption for sure.
Huge market adoption.
Huge
Yeah.
one, right? 50 million.
Yeah. And then about mid 2019, web-based augmented reality became a thing. Meaning you no longer needed to download an app
Exactly.
in order to experience augmented reality, right? You could
browser-based.
browser-based.
There you go.
Yeah. So that was about mid 2019. We all know what happened at the beginning of 2020. The pandemic hit. So of course, at that time we were, SOS Charging Solutions was going full tilt. We're busy with that company. So
just
the
hired
AR,
our new first
we had
guy.
just hired our first employee, Mike, as our VP Biz Dev and Sales.
Yeah.
November 2019, and of course 3 months later the pandemic hits. So us being a physical
Event rental company.
supplier, that didn't work too well because live events were completely shut down.
Yes.
So
And corporate was the last to come back. It was shut down.
First to shut down,
Last to come
still
back.
hasn't even fully recovered, right? So so we're sitting around when it started, trying to figure out what the heck was going on in the world.
Yeah.
And then we started to think, okay, well, do we want to pause or do we want to keep going? And as a team, we decided that we wanted to keep going. This was not going to stop us at that point.
But just to interject, I remember specifically having a conversation about, we have 2 choices. We can base our decisions now. We were poised for our best year yet, and everything canceled in 36 hours. Yeah. It was just tick, tick, tick. And so we were we can make decisions right now that will help us win in 12 months or 9 months in the fall, or we can make some drastic changes and make decisions that'll help us win 10 years from now. And that's when you were remember we were going to investigate AR because now we have help and support. The biz dev guy was going to help us expand. We had a time, what if we looked at that? Because we thought even if it was a slow start, the adoption was slow, we had to teach a lot of people about it, we could make that work 10 years from now. So that's when we decided just whatever happened with SOS would happen. It was out of our control, it was out of our hands, but we had an opportunity now to go 100% in on AR instead of having it being a side project that we explored in 2020.
And it was because we had the time. Basically, we had the time to finally look at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So as a team, we started to really dig into augmented reality. And at that point, we were only really looking at, okay, when when things come back and up and running in 3 months' time, at that point, we can throw AR on our charging stations. We'll be ready to go, and people will love it. But as we dug into it more and more, and as we learned about what was necessary to deploy it, we start to think, okay, there's more to AR than what we're looking at in front of us.
Yeah, of course.
So we started to really open up the floodgates, and that's when we started to really, we basically decided very quickly that we were going to take AR on 100%, like just go hard at it.
Just our research into what it can do as a tool, like we think about it as Pokemon Go or putting couches in your space, but when we looked at the science behind how our brains interact with it, we were like, this is the most compelling and effective storytelling tool available, and in our minds nobody except for maybe IKEA or Pokemon was using it. We were like, how is that?
That's true,
So we were like, okay, we gotta do something about that.
And some of the ways AR has been described in the past is it's very gimmicky, and it still is described that way because of the type of activations we all experience on a day-to-day basis, right? Very gimmicky it is. Like it really is. It's used a lot in entertainment. There's like a wow factor to it. It's cool, but it's meant to sort of like you experience it quickly and then you shut it off. So we took that, and then we also took on the challenges from our colleagues in the event industry. And we said, we're working on something. It's augmented reality. What have you experienced it with it over the last few years? Because at that point, it was starting to come out as a thing. So we said, have you experienced it? Do you even know what it is, first of all? If you have experienced it, why aren't you using it? Like, just why are you not using this technology? And some of the answers we got were...
in our industry, we go to all the events, it's like, next big thing for the year is augmented reality, and we would not see it around for another year, and that kept nagging at us. And when we did the research, we said, if it's as compelling a tool as we think it is, why wouldn't you use it? And then they told us, and it was like, event producers are very creative and technically proficient with the use of technology, but coding, there's not a lot of coders in live events, right? So it was a bit intimidating technology-wise. There was a misunderstanding about the difference between AI and VR and AR.
Of course,
the cost, it was just out of scope for a 3-day conference, a 5-day summit. It was totally not doable. And at the end of the day, event apps were now really popular. Every event had an app, but nobody was going to download a second app just to have fun with this one branded experience. So they're like, no apps, no go. It's not happening. So that was what they told us. Those were the main friction points.
So all of that feedback we took and we said, okay, well, let's do it differently then. Right? Like that we're getting the answers from our colleagues in the industry. How can we flip that so that it's a tool that they can take advantage of and get full benefit out of? And at the end of the day, when you're creating an event, that you're doing it for the attendees, and that's what we said. It was like, hey, if we're gonna actually take our attendees through an augmented reality activation, we're gonna get rid of gimmickiness.
Absolutely.
Like it's got to do something more than that. It has to be accessible. It has to be affordable. It has to be simple.
Absolutely.
Right. So we started to put together a game plan in terms of, okay, if event producers and even marketers, if their teams don't have the ability to code augmented reality, well, that's where we come in.
Absolutely.
Right.
They don't have to know that.
They don't have to know that.
It doesn't matter. It's not in their purview, right?
Especially in the no-code era, right? That we live in. That's the idea, right?
And even when you hear about no code this, no code that, it still requires you to have some
technical
knowledge,
proficiency.
some technical proficiency.
I 100% agree with you.
Like you can't just say it's a drag and drop application and all of a sudden you have AR happening. There's still a lot that has to happen from beginning to end with that. So so we're basically taking that, we're packaging it together and creating activations for a lot of events now across the globe, and then experiential marketing. So we have a lot of marketing agencies that will come to us and partner with us so that we can help them make their brands come alive for their clients and that kind of
course,
thing.
That's fascinating. It's fascinating. So some key aspects, and that's gonna lead me to the next question. We live in a world now that we have new technologies coming, into, like in front of us every single day, right? We are a technology company, right? It's part of the DNA of Launchcode, innovate, and through innovation understand what technologies I'm going to use to innovate, right? People confuse technology and innovation, right?
Yeah.
They get confused. So innovation has something to do with technology, but technology is a tool for you to innovate. Innovation itself, you can innovate without technology.
Yep.
Right? Just think about that. So, and what is interesting is that the way when I was listening to you explaining, this whole industry, which I love it, by the way, and the history. And for me, what is clear is that when we see a new technology, we think immediately, as human being, gonna go on a little bit of philosophy and anthropology. If that's
Yeah,
okay,
I love it.
which I am not an expert in that, but in my defense, my mother is a sociologist. So,
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
in my defense, so and I grew up, and I'm graduated in social communications, and I decided to go to the market with advertising. Right? I'm on the dark side.
Yeah,
As she
exactly.
says. I decided to not study. That's my mom's joke. And then the way I see it is, it's not about answering. Like it's not about giving the answers. It's what we have to do. And I'm talking about AR. It challenges us to ask the right questions. That means that when a technology comes, I still don't know all the possibilities and all the applications. And I think that's what happened with AR. Right? And I still think it is. When I say gimmicky, maybe that's it. It's this perception of how much value I'm actually adding to this technology. So
Yes.
the technology is outstanding, but we're not asking the right questions. Right?
This is the whole metaverse thing, and why AR kind of got a bit of a bad rap is because metaverse didn't really come to fruition. Of we're all going to have this alternate virtual reality that we live in, and it's like maybe the question isn't how do we make the metaverse happen. It's how do we use this technology in very specific business use cases that drive the most important outcomes in our business. And AR has been used behind,
exactly.
like if you think of, I always say this business as a coin, there's like one side of the coin is like the operations, the training, the what's going on behind the scenes, and then there's the front end of the business, which is the brand, the marketing, etc. So lots of success, huge success stories with AR being used for training purposes in the medical field, in Amazon warehouses, etc., because it is such a powerful tool. But in the front end, until we had web-based, everything was an app and everything was really expensive. So it was outside of majority marketing budgets. It was, if you were IKEA, great. You could, or Nike, could try on new AR shoes. But the average small to medium-sized business doesn't have that much money to put towards it, nor do they have a client base that wants to download their app. So now they're left out of the AR conversation.
They are. And until it gets there to that, so we're talking about enterprise level. They can afford that. But until it reaches mid-scale businesses, I'm not even talking about small business, mid-scale businesses, and until it reaches there, it's not popular, it's not mainstream. And now we're talking about not only market adoption, but user adoption, and that's a different thing.
Yes.
And then, and you developed the technology, right? That's what you guys were explaining, right?
No, we didn't.
Right?
We use a platform.
Oh, use the platform.
Yeah, we've partnered with a company out of London.
Okay, got it. That makes a lot of sense.
So we basically use their product to create the activations.
Got it.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So,
but we are working on our own platform.
Ooh,
for a very niche, very, 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 very specific use case.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. You want to talk about that?
No, we could.
Yeah. Like you said, now I'm curious. Okay.
Yeah.
What can you share about that?
Well, essentially, we were looking at what AR could do and what it was doing, and we thought if we can use it on the front end of events to engage attendees and users with brands and experiences, what if we use that technology to actually plan an event? What if you could drag and drop all of the AV, the seating, the decor, the stage into a room that was scanned with the LiDAR on your phone?
Okay.
And all of the event collaborators could be on the same page and plan an event essentially in real time.
Yeah.
And, export your plans out automatically without needing a technical producer to do as much heavy lifting as they already do. could event producers plan more events? Could they plan them quicker? And we did a bunch of market research and got a lot of feedback that a tool like this is fairly necessary. So
Interesting.
yeah, we're working on that.
Okay, fair enough. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It tastes like very new. I love that. And at the end of the day, if you're solving problems in the market, I think as an entrepreneur myself, both entrepreneurs, of course, I think that's what feeds an entrepreneur back. Right?
Yeah.
You see
So
a problem
good.
and you're
Solve
like, I
the
have to
problem.
fix that.
Right? And I got to fix that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it's cool because what we do in the events industry, even marketing, and what we do is such a drop in the bucket, the ocean.
Of course,
But having said that, a lot of the colleagues that we have taught us so much about the industry.
Of course.
And that's why we do consider ourselves event professionals because of that. Because we talk the talk, we talk the same as them, we walk the walk with them. So
we know what drives
we
them
know
nuts.
what drives them nuts, and we know what makes them happy to a degree, of course. But yeah, we think this tool is it'll be very useful once it's created.
It's capable of doing so much more.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, now that we know AR,
we're
what else
just
could
scratching
we?
the surface.
Just
with
scratching
it,
the
really.
surface of what could we do with it.
Yeah, exactly. Now you're learning how to ask the right questions.
Exactly.
Pretty much. The questions that we didn't know before.
Yeah.
Now they've been asked. I love it. Can we come back to SimplAR?
Yes. Let's do that.
And it's a very interesting question for both of you, because we were just talking about this. Is what is the problem that SimplAR is solving?
What is the problem that SimplAR is solving?
Yeah.
A number of things, really. I always think that augmented reality, even to this day, is misunderstood because of the way it's been deployed by, like the types of activations that we've gotten to use augmented reality for, and the way we experienced it when it first came out. Like a lot of that has put a lot of roadblocks in place. So a lot of people hear it and they go, yeah, we've tried it, we've seen it. It's they had very bad experiences in the past with how it was created for them. And that whole balance between how much what the cost was versus what they got in the end.
Exactly. Of course. Yeah.
That's a huge challenge for people to get past.
Yeah.
What are the ones that I'm missing?
Well, for me,
there's a lot.
Yeah,
So-
there's a lot, but I think the main one is engagement. We are goldfish, and when I talk to marketers, I'm like, "What's your biggest problem that you're facing in 2024?" And everybody said, "I don't know how to get anybody's attention anymore, because the max you can get from anybody is 3 seconds." So when you come to somebody and you say, "Well, the science says if you put your same kind of marketing materials in a video on a screen, or you put it through an AR activation, that through the AR activation, people are going to remember it up to 70 times more."
Oh, wow.
And yes, 70. And if you have it on a video screen, someone's going to glance at it for 3 seconds. But if you put it through AR, our average dwell time is 65 seconds. If you had somebody's undivided attention for 65 seconds, what would you do
That's
with
gold.
it? It's gold.
That is
right?
gold. As a
And then
marketer, I tell you, this
is.
is gold.
So that's engagement.
Absolutely.
It's the biggest thing. It's how do you get their attention, communicate what you need them to know, and have them walk away 100% knowing that they are going to remember you, especially when it's compared to the competition, especially. And when they're like, "Well, it's AR, it's confusing," we're like, "No, it's not. We will bundle it together and give it to you exactly what you want." Check mark. And then the third thing is incorporating the problem we solve is making it useful across your entire marketing strategy. So people think AR is one thing, but when you put it on your print material, you send the exact same activation in an e-newsletter. It's the banner at your trade show booth, all of these things. Well, now you have one activation that is deployed across all channels and is highly effective.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. So I think it's the engagement, it's the being memorable, and it's taking that initial cost, which is still way less the way we do it compared to whatever else, and deploying that across channels. Those are all the problems that we're like, check. Now people are willing to talk.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That for sure is a real problem for marketers like myself, like yourself. So, and for event producers, for sure, they want that engagement. Companies and brands that want to be showcased in an event.
100%.
The span of attention is becoming complicated, and we're talking about the kids now. I tell you, it's not going to get any better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's those sponsorship dollars too. It's like,
the
we
sponsorship
do
dollars, yes.
events, we'll do, say, you can vinyl wrap a pole, the decals on the floor, a banner at a thing, and it's like those banners are still only glanced at. So we talk to people a lot about in live events about this highly effective sponsorship opportunity. You can offer AR as sponsorship. And once, John Deere at the Ag Tech Awards is dropping a combine on the middle of the table and people are playing with that, that's really impactful.
It
So
is,
offering
absolutely.
innovative solutions
Yeah,
that haven't been
innovative,
seen.
engaging. It answers the ROI question.
Yes, that part
right?
as well.
Like if I'm putting X amount of
Exactly,
dollars, how
sure.
am I making it? Like we help them really consider how can you stretch that as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So we work with them to recreate our activations in different formats for them so that they can use it physically, digitally, virtually, like whatever format they need it in,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
so that the one activation can be used many times versus just once.
I love that. And then so a company can count on SimplAR not only for the technology but also for the consulting in terms of what they should do. Are you guys also supporting the creative side?
Oh, so
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely,
Like
right?
the consulting side is huge,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Because I think even before we even started SimplAR, like one of the things that we are huge on right now is the education of AR
Got it.
and any of the realities really, like AR, VR, XR. But focusing strictly on AR at this point, like education is massive. Because again, it's not a new technology. It's been around for quite a while, but there just was not enough education around it.
Yeah.
well, and
On
the
the
problem,
uses of it and the things that
On
it
the
was
uses of
solving.
it.
Yeah.
You're speaking from a
yeah.
user perspective,
Yeah.
you're saying, right?
Yeah.
and the way we
Got it.
kind of operate right now doing this project-based work is marketers can't get anybody's attention. They want to know how, and so they'll see an article that says, okay, use augmented reality. Well, if you came out of university in the last 20 years, you never took a course on how to use augmented reality as a marketing tool. And coders that can code augmented reality are not marketers. They're technically proficient.
Yeah.
So we were wondering, if we're not seeing this uptake, one of the reasons we didn't see the uptick is because marketers weren't coders and coders weren't marketers. So we have the coders, we have the marketing know-how, we have the experience or live events know-how. So we just bundle it all together. We can communicate AR in a way that's accessible and easy to understand, and we can take what our clients are thinking and dreaming of and translate that to the coder and just give them a finished project. Easy. They don't have to do anything.
And then when those marketers have to answer the question from their
Exactly.
leaders and CEOs about, okay, well, what's
What is the
happening
return?
here?
Yeah.
They can go back and say, we're achieving these business objectives,
Yes,
ABC,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
and the ROI we're getting out of it is this, this, and this. So we're basically filling in all the gaps and blanks
Love it,
that,
because
that
you're-
they've run into.
So AR is a tool, and I think that sometimes is when we think about market and user adoption, it's the confusion between a tool and a destination.
Yes.
Happens a lot. AI right now, people think is a destination. It's not.
Yeah.
AI is a tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is that at the end of the day, the destination on event is one of them. It can be I want to engage people with my sponsors. I want them to leave the event and give me a 5 score, and I want them to come back again to sell
Right.
TV, right?
Yeah.
Thinking as a marketer. So this is the objective. Whatever we use here are only tools to achieve it,
Exactly.
right? So the way I see it, and I love what you guys do, SimplAR, it is an agency, if I can use that term. Because you're saying almost like it's a technological marketing agency.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a marketing agency, and this is growing because marketing right now depends so much on technology,
It does.
as we know. And then I love it. I think it makes complete sense, and I hope the audience understood that. And I love what you just said, Joel. Like, at the end of the day, the work we do, we satisfy all of the stakeholders,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The attendees, the events producers, the
Sponsors.
business, the companies, the sponsors, all of them with different metrics, but what matter to them. we support to make sure that the event is successful using AR as a tool, and that's your forte, as I understand. We're on the last part of our conversation, at least the one today, because for sure I want to have you guys back to talk about the evolution of SimplAR. I wish we could talk more today, but I have two last questions. So let me ask the first one, because we talked a little bit behind the scenes about the SimplXR. Yeah, and I love that conversation. Let's talk a little bit more of that. Let's educate the audience. What we were talking about? What is the difference between AR? You know what? Let's start with this. Help us to understand the difference between AR, VR, and XR.
Sure. Like very, very. I'll give very, very high level, very quick nutshells. But augmented reality, basically, what you're doing is you're overlaying digital onto the real world. So when you experience augmented reality, mainly right now, 99.9% of the time we experience it through our mobile devices, you're seeing the real world behind that digital, right? So that's augmented reality. When you jump over to virtual reality or VR, that's when you're now having to wear VR goggles and you're fully immersed in a fully digital environment, right?
Got it.
And then if you jump over to mixed reality, it's sort of a combination of the two.
Got it, of course.
So you are using hardware that requires you to be in a virtual space, but at the same time, that hardware allows you to see the real world past it.
So the Meta Quest 3, the one that I'm using now with my kids, that's mixed reality.
That's a mixed reality
Got
headset.
It, okay, because it's interesting how I can see the world and I see that thing in my...
Right.
Actually, I can touch now. It's crazy.
Yeah,
right?
And same as like the Apple Vision Pro that's
the
about
same
to come
with the
out.
Apple
That's a
Vision
mixed
Pro.
reality
That's
headset.
mixed reality. Got it. Okay. So what you mentioned,
or as that's being marketed now, spatial computing, right?
Yeah.
Spatial
spatial computing.
technology.
That's true. They're using that term now.
That's what they're really pushing
Heavily
in terms of
into.
how to describe
spatial
it.
computing. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
Like something we've talked about in the future is like, where are we going? It's like we have this exposure with brands and marketing. We're helping people understand how to use it for marketing purposes. I think my guess is that, or my bet is going to be that your sunglasses or your blue light glasses or your prescription glasses in the next 5 years, when you're walking down the street, you'll subscribe to wanting to see offers from Tim Hortons, and as you walk within a distance of a Tim Hortons, it'll say buy a small coffee, get a coffee free, and that will be in your mixed reality purview, and it's going to be as prominent as wearables like that, as our watches
of course.
are, as far as and as far as ease
Well,
of use.
you need to consider what's out already, right? Meta Ray-Bans.
Of course, yeah.
They're technically sunglasses with cameras in them.
They're pretty much,
and it allows you to immediately share live without using your phone. It's using the camera sunglasses.
They look quite cool.
I know for a fact Meta in the next year is planning on integrating the AR aspect into those glasses. So it's here, like it's happening.
That's gonna be great.
Yeah. So if we can be on the forefront of helping people understand how to use it with branding, then hopefully in our future is the next step is moving in that direction.
Yeah.
You know, now you've practiced using it at events or community activation, experiential marketing. When people start seeing these glasses around more, they'll say, "Oh, we know someone who can do that," and they'll come.
And that you know, like we're a very small team, but one thing that we do really well is we love to look ahead into the future and see what's coming. So we pay attention to, where are these glasses? Like if you look at the amount of AR glasses, mixed reality glasses that were at the Consumer Electronics Show last week.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even be able to.
And I've watched the whole thing.
Research
like
everything that was up there.
Really?
It's amazing, right?
It's amazing.
They were saying there were demos inside hotel rooms. Like that's how you had to see some of these glasses.
Wow.
Because they just didn't have enough space on the floor.
Wow.
So you had to get special invites and you'd have to go to a specific hotel room at the Caesar's Palace, whatever.
Wow.
And that's how you would experience a particular manufacturer's
Type of
glasses, right?
Wow.
Crazy.
So there's so many out there, but what we do is we stay on top of that. We do the research so that we're, to a degree, maybe a year, 2 year out ahead still. So are we learning how to code for glasses at the moment? We are.
Yeah.
Like that's something that we're
that
looking
would be
into
actually my
already,
follow-up
right?
question, which
Yeah.
we were talking about SimplXR and what the future looks like.
Yeah,
when
and
our coders aren't maxed out on projects, when we're at a manageable level of projects and there's some extra hours, we have a list of softwares and technologies that we need to be able to code in, and we're looking for people that can already do that, and our team is looking for ways to practice. So we're asking for practice projects, and what can you do with this beer can? What can you do with this? So we're constantly learning so that we're 2 steps ahead.
Yeah. And I always like to take the opportunity to like give shout outs, because Mike on our team, who is our tech lead, this guy, like we call him, he's like the ultimate entrepreneur that you'll ever find, right? So he's been with us since, like we said, pre-pandemic, few months ahead, but he chose to learn how to code. And if you look at the amount that he's advanced over the last few years, it's amazing. Yeah. Right, it's because he just sucks that stuff in and like uses it. But
well, just to talk a bit more about him, because he deserves way more.
He deserves way more. Yeah, he did.
This guy, like,
if he was here, he'd be with
Mike
us, like
Metcalf.
Mike Metcalf. But
Mike Metcalf, yeah.
Metcalf.
Yeah.
Metcalf,
He's based in Vancouver, so unfortunately we don't get to see him, on a regular basis. But
he got
we see
hired
him every
to
day
do
over Zoom,
BizTev,
no matter what,
for a charging company, and that company went south in 3 months, and we said, sorry guy, like, I think it's furlough time, like, this isn't, and he just put his hand up and he's like, I'll teach myself how to code. I'll just teach myself how to code. We're like, you're gonna teach yourself how to code. And he said, I want to be a part of this. And he is so self-deprecating about the work he does, and then we show his work to other people that have been in mixed reality, and they're like, who is this guy? This is great work. And
he taught,
but that's what you want, right?
How to code.
He taught himself how to code
in a short span of time. Mike
Metcalf.
Mike Metcalf.
Yeah.
Mike Metcalf, my friend.
Hats off
I salute
to him.
Hats off. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're so thankful to have him in our life.
We
and
wouldn't
in our
have
business.
SimplAR without him.
And I tell you, our world is full of the Mikes of the world.
Yeah.
Right? That need a chance and opportunity and something to drive them. And I tell you, they're going to just change the world as it is. And I love it.
He does.
Good
He's
for you
great.
guys. Good for you. Good for him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is an exciting conversation. I wish I could go a little bit further with you. For sure, I need to bring
There's
you back.
so much more to talk about.
There's so much more to talk. And here's what I want to do. I actually, Mr. Director, I think we have to have a conversation about all of that, bringing the Red Iron Labs guys. So the 5 of us together.
Oh, yeah, that would be
I
amazing.
think it's good. And I'm going to be here just learning and watching and making sure that
I want to meet him anyway. He's on my hit list of people I want to meet.
Fair enough.
Soon.
So let's do this. Why don't we plan this? I really want to bring the 4 of you together. I think there's so much more that we can discuss and talk. We have associations with Bow Valley and students and SAID and Dean, and why not bring the students so we can do a live podcast with everyone. We gotta educate the community, because this is not anymore the future. This is
it's now.
It's now.
Yeah.
It's now, and our kids need to be educated, because if you think about the medical uses of all of that, right? We'll be saving tons of lives in the future with
you know what I love,
right?
seeing is the reaction from the younger generations around this technology. So going back to Mike,
he's got young sons.
He has young kids. Young kids, let's just say they're young.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact, like, we were creating an activation during the Christmas holidays for the conference that I was at last week.
Okay.
And when his kids and his kids' friends saw what he was working on, the amount of attention that they ended up having and sitting around him for, he ended up having to show them, he got to show them what he was working on, why he was doing what he was doing, the coding side of it. And the kids were just absolutely amazed at what he was doing.
Yeah.
So you're starting there. And then even on the events industry side, one of the biggest questions right now is, why are we losing so many people in our industry? And a lot of people think it's because that there needs to be something for the younger generation to look at and latch on to.
Something really innovative.
Yeah. And this is one of the pieces that people are looking at.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So
we're talking about the generation that grew up with Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now you want them to go to an event and watch a keynote for an hour.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Come on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And with the education, you might want to cut this out, but with the education part of events, we used to have to go to industry events to educate ourselves on what was the top up and coming, but now we can educate ourselves on YouTube. You can learn anything you want to on the industry. So people are going to events to have experiences and to connect with other people. That's why they're going. So if we can provide the experience part of that, and the planners can get the people together, like, it's a recipe for just really meaningful connections. And I don't know, we love our industry.
Yeah, I can see. I can feel this whole passion, and boy, I love it. I love it. You know, talking to passionate people, I love it. Yeah, thank you so much for coming. Look,
thanks for having
again, I
us.
wish I could have a very much longer conversation, but I really want to bring you guys back. Let's talk a little bit more about the industry for sure over the next time. So this was a fantastic conversation. So thank you so much for joining us at Launchcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Okay, so before we finish, what's the best way for those out there to kind of get in touch with you?
LinkedIn, really good. SimplAR on LinkedIn. Joel and Alisha Olandesca. Hi at simple-ar.com.
Hi at simple-ar.com.
SIMPL.
Actually, got it. Okay, it's actually quite simple.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much.
Great.
Appreciate.
Thank you.
So that's it. That's it for today's Launchcast, and this is, I would say, this is part of the innovation series. I assume. I don't know. Got to check with the director, but because for me this is so innovative. But for sure, we got to get Alisha and Joel back. Because we have a Joel here. Sometimes I say Joel.
Joe. Yeah.
So Joel back to talk about AR, VR, XR, not the future, what is happening now, together with the Red Iron Lab. So let's try to make that work. So please, as you know, remember to like, to comment, to share the video with other people. We have a number of shares, and I know people share the content we create. That for us is the most important, not the numbers, but how much can you share with other people that actually are going to consider this cool. Make sure you subscribe. If you are listening to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, please do that. And of course, YouTube. Links are also in the description if you are on YouTube. And last but not least, we do have a newsletter called Launchcode, where bi-weekly our brilliant marketing team shares what is happening in the tech world with a word from our C-level team and what is happening right out there. So follow us on LinkedIn, on other social channels. Make sure you follow SimplAR, okay, on LinkedIn and all the channels. And thank for being with us today. And until see you the next time.